All right, now this is for real. This is the last time we're doing back-to-back days with a podcast for a while.
Yeah, and we had a regularly scheduled Thursday pod, and we had an emergency pod on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we're going to stick to our schedule.
Yeah,
and
this is the regular podcast.
Right. This is not an emergency.
This is the one we promised. And we don't want
to shortchange anybody.
Exactly. We do have quite a few things to talk about. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. A quick reminder, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, click the subscribe button there. That helps us out quite a bit. But let's get into it, Rube. We have this is always a fun episode of the podcast, and it's always a scary one for me because I give you control of it for a little while. But we have season predictions coming up a little bit later, and these are like, weird season predictions.
Some of them are. Some of them are a little offbeat. Some of them are normal down the middle.
Okay, and like this is the only part of the podcast that I ever completely cede control of. So it makes me,
or when we talk about Devin Allen,
sometimes, kind of. So this is, that'll be Rube's part of it. We have some more topical stuff to get to off the top of this pod. Most notably, Miles Sanders back at practice on Thursday.
Yeah, and not a big surprise. I think we kind of knew he was pretty healthy. They were just kind of being super careful with him and just trying to get him to opening day. He's a valuable piece of this team. I know people are down on him because of the injuries, and I get that. But he's a good player, and he's a good running back, and he's got a career average of 5.1, which 7 or 8 guys in history have. So he's a big part of what they're going to do, and they need him healthy more than they need him at practice in the middle of August. So he's, as long as he doesn't get hurt in the next 5 practices, he's good to go.
Yeah, and that obviously we got the good injury news on Wednesday. Kelce and Dickerson were back. Thursday, it's Miles Sanders. Javon Hargrave is back practicing in some form. He was on a side field. So they're kind of getting the band back together. Most of those lingering injuries are starting to go away. And
Hargrave is really the one, I guess, question mark for the opener. It's good to see him out there doing something.
Well, Barnett
with the
ribs. As far as a starter.
But I don't consider him a starter maybe a few years ago. But, so they're in good shape. And this is why they practice the way they practice and have the preseason they do. So you get to opening day healthy, and they're really, really healthy.
They are. Captains for this team.
Pretty cool.
7 captains. Players voted on it again. That was also the way Sirianni handled it last year as well. That's the way Doug handled it until 2020 when he said, no, I'm just naming them, which was weird, but that might have been.
2020 was weird. Everything
was weird. He just named captains that year, but the players have that power again.
I was surprised when he named Graylin Arnold defensive captain. That was really out of the blue.
Yeah. All right. So the captains, no surprises, really. You have Jalen Hurts, Jason Kelce, Lane Johnson on offense. Hurts and Kelce were the offensive captains last year. They added an offensive captain, and that's Lane Johnson. The 3 on defense are Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, and the new addition here, Darius Slay. And then the special teams captain is Jake Elliott for the first time.
Yeah, and you have about a 33% chance of being that guy.
No, because last year, they could have picked Sean Bradley, would have been a good pick there.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Jalen had an interesting thing to say about Slay. He said Slay's never been a captain before. And he said he was fighting back tears when he found out, and it meant so much to him. And he said, that's the kind of guy I want on my team, a guy that it means that much to him. And he said it meant a lot to him, too.
That is cool. And Slay is such a clown at times in a good way, and he's so funny, and he doesn't fit the prototype of like what a leader or captain should be, but he is very much a leader on that team in a lot of ways. And it's nice to see him get recognized for that, because it's not what you first think of when you think of his personality, but he really is. Even like working with the young DBs and working with the receivers and spending time with, bringing along Devontae last year and making, he said Chauncey Gardner-Johnson come to his house and learn the defense if he wants. So he really is a leader. So it's kind of cool to see him get that.
Yeah, I think it's a side of Slay that we don't really see too much, but you see it on the practice field. You certainly see it in the games. There's a very serious side to him, and he masks it with, constant jokes and I mean, that's like the window dressing, but he works hard. He prepares hard. He takes the game very seriously. He's a student of the game. He's a student of receivers and other defensive backs, and he mentors the young guys. He does it all while he's laughing and joking and carrying on and yelling and screaming. But he is a very serious-minded guy when you get down to the nitty-gritty.
Yeah. 2 Eagles captains from last year's team are gone. Do you know who they are?
Alex Singleton.
Mm-hmm. That's a hard one.
And that was a hard one. And Alex Singleton, and was he special teams or defense?
He was special teams.
He was special teams, right? Yeah. Alex Singleton and a lot of guys on defense are gone. So I was not Steve Nelson. That wouldn't make sense. Not Eric Wilson. That would make sense. Who's the other one?
If only there was someone you had just written about.
Not Davion Taylor.
A couple days ago.
Just tell
Rodney.
Rodney McLeod, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah. But I like captains, and it's some people think it's like high schoolish. I don't. I think it's a nice thing.
I do too. I don't think Andy ever had captains. He had game day captains.
Chip didn't either. It was they didn't start it until 17.
Yeah. Well, it worked well.
Yeah, I don't think there was necessarily a cause and effect, but
no,
you can't disprove it.
That's right.
Anything else from Wednesday at practice?
Well, Nick talked about Davion Taylor and said it basically said they hope to get him on the practice squad. It looks like he cleared waivers. I haven't seen anything saying otherwise. I didn't really spend a lot of time looking, but he said, I kind of think if it hadn't been for that rule where, the whole, when you acquire a guy, you can't just, they basically had to cut him. I think I'm guessing he's gonna be back on the 53 at some point. They seem to like him.
But they chose a young enough player that they had to expose someone to waivers instead of pulling the old wink, wink, Rick Lovato will cut you and re-sign you tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they can probably afford to lose Davion Taylor more than Rick Lovato at this point. So, but I think he made it clear he'll be back. So, and if you're Davion, I guess you might have some options, different practice squads. I can't imagine anybody would want him on the 53. You could have just claimed him. So, we'll see.
Yep.
That's about it. We talked to Jalen.
Yeah, I thought we had a nice long chat with Haason Reddick today. It ended up being very fruitful, I thought. And it was a day where I thought it was a good job collectively by the beat group. Kind of finding something cool from that Haason Reddick. He went into more depth about, the struggles of his early career than he ever has before.
Yeah, he did a little bit when he got here, but probably more detail just about being played out of position early in his career.
He thought his career might be winding down at the end of year 4.
Yeah, he said he told his dad, I'm either I got to ask for a position change or it could be the end of my career. And he came in he wasn't undrafted, but he was he was a late round pick.
Haason Reddick?
No, he was a first round pick. Obviously, I knew that. He talked about how they hadn't exercised his 5th year option, and he knew he had nothing to lose by trying a new position. Obviously, it worked. So yeah. It was interesting. He's touched on some of that. He's an interesting guy. He was a walk-on is probably what I'm thinking of. He was a walk-on coming out of Haddon Heights. He'd been hurt most of his high school career. He was a walk-on at Temple, and then really blossomed there. Interesting guy. Really carries that with him. That really wasn't until 2 years ago that he even had any production. And
it still baffles me that Arizona didn't try it before then.
Yeah, he's not an inside linebacker, and it's hard to imagine why anybody.
And he brought up the point that, it wasn't just that he was playing out of position. He was playing out of position in 3 different defenses over 3 years.
And he really emphasized how much Gannon has included him in talks about how he's going to be used. And he said they talk every day about it. What are you comfortable doing? Where are you comfortable lining up? What do you like to do? What don't you like to do? He said, if there's something I'm not comfortable with, he's taking it out of the defense. And And I think Gannon does that with all these guys. He wants guys to be doing what they're best at, what they think they're best at, and what they like to do. It makes sense. I mean, sometimes, look, there's extremes where maybe there's something a guy doesn't want to do, but he's got to do it. But for the most part, when you have a coach that listens like that, and it can only help.
Yeah, I mean, and this isn't like undrafted Joe Schmo. This is a guy you just paid $15 million a year.
$45 million.
So, yeah, I mean, if he has some suggestions about how you can get the most out of him, you probably should listen to him. Especially a guy who has been misused so much in his career.
Yeah.
The whole thing was strange. Like, when they drafted him and they immediately, like, he's an inside linebacker. Well, I mean, he can do a lot of things. And now he's an inside linebacker. And it took them so long to move him. He said it was his decision, but he wouldn't have gotten that chance. Chandler Jones got hurt, which is really the only way he was able to play at that spot.
Yeah. So
it was just kind of a circumstantial thing, and he ends up being great.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. We talked to TJ Edwards. He talked about having the green dot on his helmet.
Confirm that for us. Yeah, so it's good to know for sure that TJ is going to be getting the calls from Gannon, and that makes sense. It does, not that we thought there'd be a heavy rotation at linebacker, but it pretty much tells you he's going to be on the field. They could have given it to Marcus Epps because he's unlikely to leave the field too, but it makes more sense if you can give it to the Mike.
Yeah, I think ideally you want the Mike linebacker to have it. And he takes it seriously, and he talked about it. He said, it means a lot to me. And especially coming in as an undrafted guy a few years ago and not playing defense until into his second year. And he's just a guy who's gotten better every year. He's a great story. This team has a lot of those guys, a lot of those stories. And the 17 team did too. I'm not making any comparisons, but I remember doing a story on the 2017 team and how many guys, it was crazy. Out of the 53 guys that were on the roster for the Super Bowl, it was something like close to 40 had either been cut or at some point in their career or were a late round pick or something. And, you get a bunch of those guys that have that chip on their shoulder and get them together. And, if it works out, you have that kind of culture and that kind of vibe and that kind of hunger on your team. And this team seems to have some of that.
Yeah. You mentioned Jalen Hurts a little bit talking about Slay, but some interesting stuff. I asked him about his leadership style and about the leaders he's been around. He named all coaches, and then he said something that I think good coaches implement into how they handle a team is that everyone needs to be treated differently because they're all different. And I think that's a wise thing from Jalen.
Yeah, that was interesting. He named a bunch of people that have impacted his leadership style, and named Doug Peterson. First time we've heard Doug's name mentioned in the auditorium in a couple of years. But yeah, that's so true, and that's something that a lot of much older guys don't get. Everybody needs to be motivated a different way. Jalen takes that side of his job as quarterback really seriously. Mm-hmm. And that was interesting to hear him say that. He's a really smart guy.
Yes, he's very thoughtful.
Yeah, thoughtful.
Sometimes that hurts us because he doesn't give up a lot. But
no, he doesn't.
He's very thoughtful.
Yeah, I enjoy talking to him though, even when he's not giving us quotes, because he's just. I'm just so curious about how he looks at things.
He's an interesting dude.
He really is.
Everything about him is interesting. In a lot of ways, he's like you've heard probably his musical taste is like he's kind of a throwback. Even like.
He likes old time R&B.
I was noticing today, even his
big Guided by Voices fan.
His jewelry selection is even old school. He's wearing Cuban links. Like some guys are just out there with just all this ice and they're so flashy. I find he's just a different kind of guy.
Yeah, he's got who was it? I think it might have been Nick who said he has an old soul. Mm-hmm. He does. I mean, he listens to Marvin Gaye. He listens to old R&B and new stuff too. But He was raised the right way. You could tell that.
Yeah. We talked to Jordan Mailata. Anything stand out about that? He talked about the Einstein sessions.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
That's Malo and Kelce having next level conversations in the back of the meeting rooms that he said when he first got here, he just didn't know what the heck they were talking about. I like that phrase, Einstein sessions.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think of our podcast as kind of an Einstein session.
My first job was at an Einstein Brothers Bagels, and that's about as close as I get to that.
They had good chicken salad. Wasn't in love with their bagels, though.
Okay.
I like their chicken salad.
Well, I'll let them know.
Yeah, please. So you ready to do this?
I hand the baton to you, sir.
It's harmless. This is harmless.
Okay.
And we do this every year. I come up with 10 questions. We both answer them. I've already got my answers done. You can see that right there.
Did I win last year?
You won. So 2 years ago, I won.
Okay.
No, 3 years ago, I won. 2 years ago, it was a tie, and last year you won.
Okay.
So this is kind of a tiebreaker. And I actually put a tiebreaker in for the first time.
Okay.
And there's no way we'll have the same answer on that. So I've already got my answers here. So, I don't want any kind of advantage where I'm picking second every time.
Rube acts like he doesn't enjoy this a ton. I think you enjoy the fact that you get to spring these on me.
You can do this if you like.
No.
It's not that important to me.
Go ahead.
It's just we've always done it this way. So
all right.
I don't know.
What do we got?
All right. Question number one. We got 10 questions.
Okay.
Total Jalen Hurts touchdowns, passing plus rushing, 26 last year.
Thank you for that. 26 last year, and that was in
15 games he played.
I think the rushing numbers will probably come down, but the passing will go up.
16 and 10 last year.
Yeah, I mean, ideally that would even out. I'll say
we're a daily newspaper here, Dave.
33.
33. I went 36.
Okay.
I went a little higher. Number two, A.J. Brown receiving yards had 869 in 13 games last year.
I throw that away.
Career average of 998.
Yeah, throw that away too.
You can do that if you like.
Are you giving like real specific numbers for fun?
I don't know about for fun, but I'm trying. I have a method to all my numbers. There's a formula to them. I'm not just. Yeah.
He has struggled with injuries too. That's the toughest part about all this.
He's been a little banged up here and there.
Yeah, he's missed some games. So it's like and that's why at the end of this, all of our numbers are going to look so big because you're trying to base them on full seasons and they might not.
You have to do. I mean, you can if Miles Sanders rushing yards was a category, which it's not. You could kind of, but yeah, I mean, he played 16 games as a rookie, but then 14 and then 13.
Okay.
So
I will say.
Here we go. I already put down 1 comma.
1198.
1198. I went 1106.
Okay.
I went a little lower than you on that one. Question number 3. Is Eagles defensive points per game allowed? So returns are out, fumble returns, punt returns, but just how many points per game the defense will allow? Last year was 22.2. See, I'm giving Dave last year's just for context. I didn't do that before.
You know what I do? I have it up in front of me because I didn't think you were going to do this for me. So
I'm nothing. I'm very fair-minded.
I was ready. What was it? 20?
It was 22.2 last year. It went down dramatically after the first 7 weeks.
Yeah, I'll say.
They were actually 10th in the league in points allowed. I went low here.
20.5.
Wow. I went 20.8.
Yeah.
I went 20.8. So 20.5 is, so you want 348 or 349 yards? We're going to round it up. We'll put
you can round up.
So we're just a field goal. We're just a field goal apart here. No, we're 5 points apart.
Is it Price is Right rules?
No.
Okay.
No, over or under, it doesn't matter.
$1, Bob.
Question number 4. Dallas Goedert receiving yards had 830 last year in 15 games.
I knew this was coming. This is a tough one.
That's an average of 55.3 per game.
Yeah. So I think it'll be more than that, but how much more than that is it really going to be? I'll guess.
I probably went too high in this one, but
937.
937. So only 107 more than he had in 15 games last year. I mean, A.J. Brown's going to take yards away from somebody.
you can do this and you'll end up like, is Jalen going to throw for 6,000? Probably not.
That's the next category.
Oh, is it?
I went 1035 for Goddard. I just think
yeah, that's very possible.
1035 is not that.
We're off by 100 yards, which isn't crazy. It's like,
that's 61 per game. So yeah, we're off by 98 yards. All right, question number 5, Jalen. Like you said, Jalen Hurts passing yards. He had 31, 44 in 15 games last year.
I'll tell you what, it better be more than that.
That's 210 per game. The league average last year was 228 per game.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to give you landmarks here to work from.
Oh, are we going per game or overall?
Well, either way, I mean, you could do whatever you're comfortable doing. I put a total. But,
okay, I'll give you total.
But I have both listed.
I'll give you total.
And I'm trying to be totally transparent here. I don't want any accusations of unfairness.
3877.
38. Oh, we are so close here.
Are we really?
I went 3910.
Oh, wow.
We're only off by 33 yards. How about that? So we're in the
Neither of us pulled the trigger on a 4,000.
No, it wouldn't shock me.
Mm-mm.
I mean, 4,000 yards in 17 games is what, like 230?
And it's like so many guys do it.
Yeah.
The Eagles have had one.
Well, you figure the last game against Dallas isn't going to matter. It never does. But.
And just this is one where I did, because this is, he misses a game. It can,
right. Right. Well, 4,000 yards is these days in a 17-game schedule. It's only 235 per game. That's doable. But I'm going a little lower than that. Doable. All right. Question number 6. This is a combo question. Darius Slay plus James Bradbury interceptions. Slay had 3 last year. He's averaged 3 per season in his career. Bradbury had 4 last year. He's averaged 2.5 per season as a starter. Slay plus Bradbury, starting cornerback picks. I think we're going to have the same number.
I'm going through my thought process here because you can't hide from Slay as much anymore.
It's true.
So they're both going to have opportunities. The defense is going to be so much better, you would assume.
Should be.
6. That's high.
6 combined. I went 8 combined.
8. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're farther apart on that than Jalen Hurts passing yards.
All right, 8's a lot.
Yeah. Number 7, Eagles points per game. This is total points.
Total points.
Last year was 26.1, which was 10th in the league, or 12th in the league. I'm sorry. The NFL average last year was just 23.0, which is low. It was
that is low.
It's a defensive season. But they averaged 26. They were way above the average. They scored a lot of points late in the season against bad teams. 26.1 last year.
$27.7.
Wow, 27.7. I went 27.2. We're really close on a lot of these.
Yeah.
I think we're spending too much time together. That's probably what that means. 27.7. So we're both in the 27s. All right, getting down to the nitty gritty. 3 more questions and a tiebreaker. You ready?
Yeah.
Number 8, Jake Elliott's longest field goal this year.
Oh, that's fun.
I knew you'd like that one.
Yeah, I like that one.
Dave likes kicker questions. There might be another one. His longest last year was 58. His longest in his career was 61.
Yeah.
You might remember that one.
That one does seem to stand out. I'll go an even 60.
60?
Yeah.
Not a lot of kickers have made 2 60-yarders in their career.
Yeah.
I went 56.
Okay.
Number 9, another combo question. Josh Sweat, Haason Reddick combined sacks.
20.
I went 19. Man, these are all close. All right, at number 10, the final question. Eagles wins.
12.
I went 12. Wow, look at this.
Although I knew you were going 12.
I have mentioned that before, but
well, the only reason I know is because I did that thing with Kemsky, and he asked for my record prediction.
Uh-huh.
But my point about the 12 wins is we also have to recalibrate what a 12-win season is.
Right.
People it is different now.
Yeah, that's 11 wins.
Yeah.
Here's a tiebreaker. I think you'll like this one. Total punt yards for Aaron Sipos. 24-16 last year.
Thank you. I was like,
24-16 in 7. He played all 17 games. Now, the way I look at it, like you would think they'll punt a little less, but you would think his average would be a little higher.
Would you?
It should be. I think he's, he worked on his drops. So you can kind of go from there. But then again, you could also look at it like if the defense is that much better, they'll have more drives or opportunities to punt. 2.416 last year. That was 142 punt yards per game. This is only a tiebreaker, Dave. So I wouldn't think too hard about it.
Yeah, that's just like me to not overthink punter yards.
I suppose it's not.
I don't think it's going to be a ton more. I think it's going to be around there.
Around the same number?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go a little higher. I'll say 24-61. I'll just flip the 1 and 6.
So a dyslexic won't be able to tell the difference between the last year's number and your prediction. I went higher. I went a lot higher.
Yeah.
I went 27-62.
I don't even know if that would be good or bad.
I don't either.
Yeah, because it means they're punting a lot more. Like that, right?
Or, his average is pretty low. So if you average, and this is gross, this isn't net. So
I don't think it's that gross.
If you average two yards a punt more and you punt 70 times, that's 150 yards.
Yeah. But he is so good at those angle kicks.
Yeah.
And those really drop your average.
That's true. Well, if it comes down to the tiebreaker, it's going to be really exciting.
God, if I lose on an Aaron Sipos tiebreaker.
We're really close on almost everything. On every single one, we're close, except Slay plus Bradbury picks 8 and 6. It's close numerically, but not percentage-wise.
Sure, yeah. 8's high, man.
Yeah, I think there should be better pass pressure this year than we've seen in a while. I think that's going to be big, and just teams. They're not going to. I think teams are going to have a hard time running against them. They're going to throw a lot. So,
yeah.
And the Eagles are going to be up big, so teams are going to be chucking the ball.
Okay.
I got it all thought out. All right, there we go.
That's fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad to get through it.
And next year, you can come up with the questions.
Okay. It's not that hard to figure out what they're going to be. I didn't do much planning, so I'm glad. I feel confident with my answers.
Yeah.
The worst feeling is like you say something and you're like, you look back at it the next day like, what the heck was I talking about?
I do that every day.
Yeah, but you're like, I've got, Aaron Sipos punting more than any punter in human history.
Yeah. All right. There we go. We got anything else?
I don't think so. This has been a short pod, but
that's all right.
People are probably tired of us anyway, right?
Just one quick thing. The Eagles have the next 4 days off.
Mm-hmm.
They have a walkthrough Monday. We won't be down there. It's closed to the media, but they're off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then a quick walkthrough Monday morning. Which is interesting, a week before the opener. But I think it's a good, these guys are going to be able to heal. You can go away if you want. You go home, be with your family, and come back and, and get back to practice. And here we go.
Yeah. Next time we talk to everyone, it'll be game week. How
only
exciting
2 more
is that?
podcasts before kickoff.
Yeah, that's wild. And today the calendar changed, obviously, and that's when you start. Oh, it's September. Like we're here. It's football season.
One other thing I wanted to point out, assuming Chauncey Gardner-Johnson starts against the Lions,
mm-hmm.
Do you know the last Eagle to start on opening day who joined the team this late in the preseason?
Recent?
No.
No, I don't know.
Were you born? No.
Oh.
It was Ron Heller, my first year. So the Eagles traded for a right tackle. Ron Baker got hurt, and they sent a couple picks to Seattle and got Ron Heller, who had spent most of his career with the Buccaneers. And he started at right tackle on opening day, and they beat the Buccaneers down in the old Tampa Stadium 38-10, I think it was. That was Randall Cunningham's first opening day start. And, that was 34 years ago.
Oh, I just thought of one other thing we wanted to mention.
What's that?
Jason Peters.
Yeah.
Visiting with the Cowboys. Did we mention that in the last pod?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I have no idea. I think we did.
It'd be weird. We'll see. By the time you guys listen to this, he might be there.
Jordan Malott was pretty funny talking about how, I'm happy for him. He was such a good mentor to me. He can still play. He still got it. And wouldn't it be weird to see him in a Cowboys uniform? He's like, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That would be really weird. Yeah. So
Oh, yeah, we did because we talked about his legacy.
exactly. So
Never mind.
We'll keep you posted. You'll know before we do.
Yeah, probably. All right. If everyone can do us a favor, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button. Do it right now. Go ahead and subscribe there as well. That's all we've got for Rube. I'm Dave. We'll talk to you next week. Game week, everyone.